So this one was 100%. Question number 2 was also 100%. Yay! So hopefully those are easy for everybody, even if you haven't done them. This is still open, so if you didn't get a chance last night to do it, you can still do it. Question number 4 went down to 63%. So let's try to figure out why. Given triangle LMN and PQR, so LMN and PQR, so I know that M and Q go together, right? M and Q. What is the measure of angle P that could be used to prove that those two triangles are congruent? So I see this little congruent mark in there. That means they're going to be equal. So what equation can I write? Absolutely. And then when I solve that, I subtract 3x from both sides. Those cross out, and I'm left with x. If I move my x's to the left side of the equal sign, I can move my numbers to the right side of the equal sign all in one step, and x equals 10. I suspect that a lot of those 27% of people that got this wrong put x equals 10. What did they forget to do? Find P. So P is this guy down here. This is a super tricky question, so I'm super impressed that 63% got it right. The next step is to plug 10 into Q. So we're going to do 3 times 10 plus 20, which equals 50. So now I know Q equals 50. And what kind of triangle is PQR? Is it isosceles, equilateral, or scalene? It is isosceles, which means that P and R are both equal, right? So how do I find angle P if I know P and R are the same and Q is 50? I'm so impressed. Yes, that's exactly what you do. Oops, I don't know why I put that 5 there. So 180 minus 50, because that gives me P and R, and I know they're both exactly the same, so now I can divide by 2. So what's 130 divided by 2? 65? Did I do that right? Any questions on that? That is definitely a hard problem. So if you got that right, I need you to be super proud of yourself. That was fantastic. Any problem that has 3 steps in it is a hard problem. Question number 5. We got to definitely talk about that guy. 25%. So again, I have a key and I have that congruent mark, so I know something's going to be equal. It's just my job to figure out what. Find the value of x. So, gosh, this daily motion thing, I wish I could figure out how to block it. What corresponds to J? What angle corresponds to J? If J is the first letter of the first part, what's the first letter of the second part? B. So J and B have to equal each other. That's the hard part here, is knowing that you need to set that equation up. So 2x minus 20 equals 38. So 2x equals 58 and x equals 29. My guess is most people thought this was rotated and J went with C. That's why the key is so important. J is the first letter and B is the first letter. So you have to set those two things equal. Does that make sense? Number 6 was another 100% question. Yay! Number 7, 88%. Another fantastic one. So E goes with O, E goes with O, and F goes with P, and Q goes with G. So I can put a 50 here. And what am I asking for? X. So I need to find my X. X is angle P. And angle P went with angle F. So can I figure out, how do I calculate what angle F is? If I know the 110 and the 50. So 180 minus 110 minus 50, does that leave me 20? Did I do my math right? So 3x minus 10 equals 20. I add 10 to both sides. And 3x equals 30 and x equals 10. So make sure you pay attention to those keys. You have to know triangle sum in order to be successful here. Now we're kind of getting into the markings. And the markings get easier, but we've got to practice them. So only 13% here. What does this say? If I was going to read that in words, what would I write? What would I say? P. Exactly. So P is the midpoint. P cuts in half segment MN. So what I need to show is M and N are cut in half. Does that show M and N are cut in half? What I just circled? Does it show any congruent marks? I need some congruent marks. There should be an E in there, congruent marks. So there's no congruent marks in this picture, right? And what does this show? Does that show midpoint or does that show something different? That's a reflexive side. So this is all new vocabulary that we just got to practice and learn, right? So if I have a reflexive side there, that's not showing midpoint. So it's not going to be that one. Here, I've got a reflexive side, which I can always mark. And then I've got my midpoint. And then here, I've got my midpoint. And here, all three of these are congruent. Can all three of those be congruent? I mean, they could be, but I don't know this, right? I don't know that the height of the triangle is the same as the midpoint of the two bases. So this is craziness. So your answer choices are between these two, B and C. I like this answer here because you can always mark the reflexive angle. But I think the teacher that wrote this question chose C. So I personally like B, but I think the right answer is C. Does anybody know what the actual right answer is? It's not C? Oh, good. Then it is the one that I like. So you can always mark that reflexive side, but you have to mark it different from the midpoints because you don't know that it's the same length. Like if this was 5 and this was 5, then this would have to be 5. And we don't know that. So that's why you have to mark it with the double tick mark. And that is the best answer. Okay. So as you're going through these, and you will see some of these tomorrow. In fact, you'll see a lot of them tomorrow. So it's good that we're reviewing these tonight or today. And then tonight, make sure you attempt the test that I've got for you in the homework for tonight. CP bisects TN. So what is being cut there? What's the object? CP is the knife that cuts TN in half. That's how I want you to think about that. CP is the knife that cuts TN in half. Does this show TN being cut in half? Yes? Does this show TN being cut in half? No. So I can eliminate this one. And then this shows TN being cut in half for sure, which I like, but it's also showing this, which I definitely don't like. So we're going to cross that one off. So now we're down to D. Does this show TN being cut in half? Yeah. What else does it show? How is it different from A? So I've got A up there with just the TA equals AN. What's different about D? What else is marked? Yeah, those vertical angles. Can I always mark those vertical angles? Yes. So I think that's the best answer, because you can always mark reflexive sides and vertical angles. Okay. And those questions are a little bit stinky. Mark the congruent sides and angles from the given information. So BD bisects ABC. How is this one different? I've still got BD as the knife that cuts ABC in half. How do I do that? How do I cut 3 letters in half? What's different about it? I can do a reflexive side, but I've got an angle here is what I'm looking for, right? So I'm cutting an angle in half this time, so it's a little bit different. So if ABC is the angle, I definitely want to be cutting that in half, right? And then definitely you can do the reflexive side. So this is my prediction of which answer choice I want. Does A match my prediction? Does A match my prediction? How do we know we can do this? How do we know we can do this? Do we know that? It's not given, so we can't do any of that, right? What about in B? We already decided that we didn't know how to do those. Can I do this? The only thing that was given to me is AB has been cut in half. So all I know are these angles here, right? All of this other nonsense I have not been given. So then what's the difference between C and D? Is it even giving me that marked angle? So we know that ABC has been cut in half. We know ABC has been cut in half. Is that even marked in those two? It is not. So between, wow, there are a lot of answer choices in this question. What the heck? E and F, which one's better? F for sure is better, because I don't know anything about those two sides, right? They may well be congruent. I just don't know that they are. And then down here, I don't know this angle, right? Because I haven't been told anything about that segment. So really the key is to only mark what you can mark, right? 11 is a stupid question. Cross that off and don't even worry about it. 12. I'm so impressed that so many people got this one right. I hate this question. So what I do is I color code everything. AB is the first 2 letters and TR is the second 2 letters. So AB has to be next to TR. AB is next to TR, so that works. AB is not next to TR, so that doesn't work. AB is next to TR, so that could work. And then AB is next to TR, so that could work. If you have another way of doing this, I'm happy to hear it. Then AC is the first and the last, AC, so it has to go with TC. AC and TC. So AC and TC have to be next to each other, and they're not, so it's not answer choice A. And then AC and TC and AC and TC, right? So I've eliminated A and I've eliminated B. So now I got to go to my last set of sides. BC is the last two, and RC is the last two, so they have to go together. BC and RC, BC and RC. All my lines in this one are going the same direction. I've got small over big, or big over small, and big over small, and big over small. In this answer choice, my lines are going all kinds of crazy. I've got horizontal pink lines, horizontal blue lines, and then vertical lines. That's nonsense. We can't do that. Okay. I don't know if that was helpful or more confusing. I hate these alphabet soup problems. My brain does not like letters. Doesn't stick well. Question number 13, 88% correct. That means we don't have problems solving proportions. We might have problems setting them up. So what did you multiply here? Awesome. And then you just solve that, right? It's kind of a monster to solve, but it's a little gratifying to be able to solve something that's that kind of complicated. Question number 14, we got 100%. Awesome. Again, you're just going to cross multiply. So you're going to get 7 times m minus 2, and then 3 times m plus 2. Make sure you distribute, right? And then you're just going to solve. And both of these, I'm asking for x, so you don't have to substitute anything. Question number 15 was a 25% question. So which pair contains similar triangles? You want to make a ratio. So similar means proportional. So you want to do small over big in the small triangle, and then small over big in the big triangle. So small over big is going to be 11 over 12. And then small over big, 22 over 24. You can either set them equal, or you can just divide and get your decimals. But we can very easily see that 11 times 2 is 22, and 12 times 2 is 24. So those are going to be similar. Okay, so this would be side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. If you're given angles, can you find the missing angle here? Should be 50, right? And we can find the missing angle here. It should be 60. Do I have any angles that match up? 50 doesn't equal 30, and 40 doesn't equal 60, so this one's not going to work. This is Pythagorean theorem. So if you did Pythagorean theorem, you'd find that this height, the reflexive side, is 5. And then this is going to be, well, we'll learn this in a little while, but that's going to be 5 and the square root of 2. Those aren't going to be similar because I have a scalene on the right side and I have an isosceles on the left side. So that's not going to work. Here we've got 5 over 6. We're going to do this exact same thing as up here. So 5 over 6. So my small side and my big side in the small triangle. And then this is my big triangle. So I would do 10 over, and then is that 6 plus 8, 5 plus 8? Can't even read it now. 6 plus 8. 6 plus 8 is 14. So 5 times 2 is 10, but 6 times 2 should be 12. So for these to be similar, this would have to be a 6, not an 8. I know that was fast. Was that helpful at all? Are you guys just asleep out there? Talk me through number 16. So given what we've been talking about so far, how would you troubleshoot this one? What can you eliminate? What kind of triangle is this, if I was going to name it? Absolutely. So I'm looking for an isosceles triangle, right? Is choice A isosceles? Yes. Is choice B isosceles? Also yes. Is choice C isosceles?
No.
Bye-bye, answer choice C. How about D? It is. So now I've got to make some ratios, right? So I've got two sides that are the same, so I don't need to use both of those. I use that one number with this other number. What fraction can I make out of those two numbers? There's two options. Do we want to do small over large or large over small? And it really doesn't matter. We just have to choose one. I lost my chat. I see that somebody's trying to chat, but it's disappeared. We just have to choose, ladies and gentlemen, small over large or large over small. Small over large has it. So what's my small number in that given triangle? 4. So we're going to do 4 over 5.5. And what's my fraction going to be in choice A? Still want to do small over large. Absolutely. That's perfect. And what about choice B? 3.5.83. And then answer choice D? Now it's a calculator problem. So we've identified which answer choice can't be correct because it's not the right type of triangle. We've created 4 ratios. So now you just get your calculator out, exercise your thumbs a little bit. What is 4 divided by 5.5? Okay. So now our job here is to find out which answer choice A, B, or D matches that 72 repeating. Does choice A match it? Look at that. So we've got this answer. This one comes out to 51 because I do like to double check and just make sure that I didn't do anything crazy. And then do we have another answer choice? What's D come out to be? The right answer. So only one of those can be correct. Look at those triangles and see which one you can eliminate between A and D. So if I look at triangle A and I look at triangle D, my original triangle was 4 and 5.5. And then triangle A was 3 and 4.125. That was choice A. And then I've got 4 and 5.5. That was choice D. We did get the same numbers, but there's only one right answer. Describe this triangle with the words tall and wide. It's a little taller than it is wide. Describe this triangle with tall and wide. Describe this triangle with tall and wide. So these two triangles are similar because this base is the smallest number and the height is the tallest number. The problem with this one, even though we got that same decimal, is that we have a wide triangle that's short. This is a stinky, stinky, stinky question. I hate it. So sometimes you can do all of that. We had to figure out isosceles. We had to create our correct decimals. We had to calculate our correct decimals. And then we had to actually think about like some basic logic of, okay, we know they have to be similar. That means they both have to be tall and skinny, or they both have to be short and fat, right? So be careful about those. I don't have any tricky ones like that on the test, I don't think. At least it was my intention to try to take all the tricky ones off. The answer should be A, yeah. Question number 17, what is the length of AC? So we've got to look at our key. Is that similar or is that congruent? What's that symbol mean? Similar. And in similar, do we set up equations or proportions? Proportions. This is going to be super critical on the practice and on the test, okay? So on the test, you're going to have 3 parts. The 2 parts are going to have similar and congruent on them. The first part of the test will have congruent. The second half of the test will have similar. You're going to have to pay attention to where that transition happens. When you start having that similar, you've got to make a proportion. So if I'm looking for AC, what does AC go with? LN? Question mark? Yeah. Okay. So now I need one other set. The easiest set is the AB because that just has a number. So AB goes with what? So you've got some choices. I like to put the 5 and the 10 in the same fraction. So 5 over 10 equals the 5 and the x plus 5 are in the same triangle, so they have to go next to each other. 3x plus 3. Some people like to put these 2 things in the same fraction, so 5 over x plus 5, and these 2 things in the same fraction, 10 over 3x plus 3. When you cross multiply, you're going to get the exact same thing, 5 times 3x plus 3 and 5 times 3x plus 3. And then 10 times x plus 5 and 10 times x plus 5. Okay. So do you see how they're different? The 5 and the 10 are in the same triangle, so they're on top of each other. And the 5 and the 10 are in the same triangle, so they're next to each other. And then the x plus 5 and the 2 expressions are, they go together, so they're in the same fraction, or they go together, so they're along the same straight line. Do we need to solve that, or do we have the solving of it? Okay, so let's try to solve it. We just distributed that 5. And then we're going to distribute the 10. That's a plus, not a division. I always move my smaller x's. So 10 is less than 15. So I subtract 10x from both sides. If I move my x's to the left, I'm going to move my numbers to the right. Bring my equal sign down. So 50 minus 15 is 35. And x equals 7. Am I done at x equals 7? What was my original question? In geometry, I always go back and figure out what my original question was. So AC was this guy. So what do I have to do with that 7? So 7 plus 5 equals 12. There are so many steps to these questions, ladies and gentlemen. I know they are tough, and I know I'm stressing you out, especially at 8 in the morning. I wish there was another way. But if you take it step by step and show all your work, I know everybody can be successful at it. Did I give you enough time to write all that down? This is literally the hardest type of problem that I could give you like this. So what do we think about 18? It's a little more success on this one. This was a 38% question on the homework. Line segments AC and BD intersect at E. AB is parallel to CD. How do I mark that? With tick marks, with loops, or with arrows? AB is parallel to CD. Tick marks, congruent loops, or parallel arrows. I think I want to do parallel arrows, and automatically I should think about what kind of angles or what shape. The Z, alternate interior angles. So angle C is going to equal angle A. And I can make that Z go in the other direction. So angle B and angle D are congruent. So I get all of that information from this. Now I got to mark some stuff. DE equals 10, and you really do need to draw these. And BE equals 15, and CE equals 20. What is the measure of AE? That's my question mark. That's my X. So what needs to go into my proportion? I've got two green sides. What can I do with them? Do they go next to each other, on top of each other, or diagonal from each other? Anybody got a thought? If I put a 10 here, where do I put the 15? To the right, under, or diagonal? There are two right answers. You got a 67% chance of being right if you guess. I say under. The only place it cannot go is diagonal. So these two things go together. So they have to be either side by side or diagonal. And then I've got these two that are in the same triangle, right? So if they're in the same triangle, they have to either go next to each other or up and down from each other. I've already got the 15 under, so I've got to put the 20 over here. The 10 and the 20 are in the same triangle, so they have to go next to each other. And the 10 and the 15 correspond, so they have to go next to each other. It doesn't matter if the 20 and the 15 are in different spots. Neither one of them can be over here, though, because the green 10 and the blue question mark have nothing to do with each other. They're not in the same triangle, and they're not the corresponding line. And these are the hardest ones to figure out. Once you've got the proportion set up, the math is easy, right? I get 10x equals, is that 300? Can somebody check my arithmetic? And then x equals 30. And I know I didn't give you guys enough time to process through this. We're not going to be great at it. You're not going to feel super confident about it. And I will kind of curve the test. I'm going to give it to you the way I have it, but I'll curve the grades. So just do the best you can do and trust me, okay? How would I set up 19? knowing what we know now. PQ is parallel to ST. So what does that tell me? PQ is parallel to ST. What angles are congruent? Or what sides go together? This is like been twisted. So P goes with T. And Q goes with S. Once you do that, which sides go together? The 28 goes with this one, right? And my two pink sides go together. So the 30 and the 105. And I'm looking for ST. So I'm looking for that red angle or that red side. Measure of ST. So this is my question mark. So I've got two red numbers, 28 and X. And I've got two pink numbers, 30 and 105. Did I put them in the right order? Everybody's gone back to bed. Did I put them in the right order? I got my pink numbers together, the 30 and the 105, so that works. And I've got the 30 and the 28 that are in the same triangle in the same fraction. So yeah, I think it works. When you cross multiply, what do you get? Should be a whole number that's smaller than 105. Anybody? Okay. We've got 13 minutes left in class. We've got some choices. We've done the warm-up. We've taken a long time to review that homework, right? I've got this study guide here for you. The goal is, there's no warm-up tomorrow. This study guide, oh wait, yeah, nobody's done it. Has a lot of questions. It's got 28 questions. It's big. It's kind of a monster. I don't want that to discourage you. What I want you to do is go through and do as many as you can possibly do. These first three are the hardest questions, and I'd like to go through those together. But I don't know that it's helpful if you guys aren't paying attention. Will it be helpful if we go through these three together? They are literally the hardest questions of them. Yes? Okay. So we'll go through these three together. And then what I want you to do tonight is go through the rest of them and do everything you can possibly do. If you need to skip some and you don't know how to do them, that's fine. Submit in whatever state of doneness it is before we come to class tomorrow, so I have good data to help you with. If you don't do it, then I don't know what you know and what you don't know. Okay? So everybody go and open today's folder. So today is 11/19. Go to this monstrosity of a review. It is 28 questions. Remember, we're trying to put two tests together here. And I did look at the calendar yesterday, just in case anyone is wondering. We have 21 days, class days, until the SOL. So for those of you who are going to be forced to sit for an SOL this year, at least until they cancel it, because I'm really hoping they're going to cancel it, that's what I'm trying to get you ready for. Okay? I hate walking into tests and feeling like I don't know what I know. So that's what we're pushing for. And then once January 11th comes, all the pressure is released. We'll do some more math. There will be more grades, but all of this pressure will go away. Okay, so if we can just make it through to that point, we'll be good. The first thing I want you to notice in this question is that little symbol. It means similar, right? Automatically similar means you make a proportion. As soon as you see that, I want you to draw a proportion. Okay, that symbol means proportion. Once you do that, you need to figure out what to put in the proportion. So I see a short side and I see a long side, and I see a short side and I see a long side. I'm going to put short sides together. They can either be top and bottom from each other or side to side. It does not matter. So 25 is next to 20. And then in the same triangle, they have to be together. So the 25 and the 4x minus 23 have to go together. And the 20 and the 2x plus 2. Okay, that is the hardest part about these problems, is seeing the similar symbol, setting up the proportion. Are there questions on how I set up that proportion? So I did the short side, and they're next to each other. So short side next to short side. And then the two things in the triangle together, and the two things in the triangle together. Then you're going to cross multiply. So when you cross multiply, you're going to multiply across one diagonal. 20 times 4x minus 23. You're going to distribute. So 20 times 4 is 80x. And 20 times minus 23 is going to be minus 460. Somebody please check that in a calculator, because I could be wrong on that. Okay. Then we're going to multiply this other diagonal. And we've got 25 times 2x plus 2. And we're going to distribute again. A lot of algebra here. They're checking to make sure you can do algebra. 25 times 2x is 50x, and 25 times 2 is 50. I always subtract my smaller variable first. That's just what I do. If you have a different process from algebra, please feel free. My x's cancel out, and I've got 30x. I move my x's to the left, so I'm going to move my numbers to the right. 460 plus 50 is 510. And then x equals, my brain hurts today. I need to reach for a calculator.
17.
Thank you. X equals 17. I always go back and check to see what they're actually asking me for. They're asking me for x, so I'm done. Thank the good Lord above, right? So believe it or not, that's the medium level question, and question 2 is the hard level question. It's going to kick it up a notch, okay? We're going to start exactly the same. What symbol do we notice?
Similar.
Perfect. And what do we draw as soon as we see similar? Proportion. So now I've got to figure out what goes together. PR is the first and the last, and SR is the first and the last, SR. So PR and SR go together. They have to be side by side. 60 and 2x minus 1. And I got that from the key. PR is the first and the last, and TR, oh, wait a minute. TR, I did that wrong. So this is why I go back and double check. TR is this one. TR is the first and the last. So 4x minus 26. And then I've got RQ. RQ is the last two. So 38 goes with SR. SR is my 2x minus 1. You want to double check that the 38 and the 60 are in the same triangle, so that works out. And the two expressions are in the same triangle, so that works out. Now we're going to cross multiply just like we did last time. Let's do this. 38 times 4x minus 26 equals 60 times 2x minus 1. Is anybody ahead of me? Do we know what the answers are here when we start multiplying?
Well, I did the second piece first, and I got 120 minus 50.
Beautiful.
I got 21.
What'd you get? For the answer, you got 29? So 38 times 4 is 152. And 38 times 26. Ooh, I did plus. That doesn't work out. Minus 988. So 152 minus 120 is 32x. And negative 60 plus 988 is 928. And 928 divided by 32 is absolutely 29. So x equals 29. After all of that work, am I done?
No.
No, why not? Stinky problem. So SR is this guy. So my last step, which makes this a very hard problem, just because there's so many steps, is I've got to solve for SR. So 29 minus 1 is 28, and 28 times 2 is 56, question mark? Sweet. Okay, these are monstrosities. Know that there are 2 questions, one of each kind on the test. That's only 2 points out of like 40. Okay, it's not going to be a big deal if you get to these questions and peace out. But I do want you to try them because I know you can do them. Question number 3 isn't really that hard. It's just a word problem. And a lot of people have mental blocks against word problems. So Michael is standing 14 feet from the mirror. Boom. And the mirror is what's lying on the ground. So where do I put the 14? At 1, 2, 3, or 4? Michael is standing 14 feet from a mirror. The mirror is right here, by the way. It's just going to be 2. So Michael is standing 14 feet from the mirror. So let me erase this 2. And that's my 14, right? Then his eyes are 5.5 feet above the ground. So where do I put the 5.5?
At 1.
At 1. Okay. The line of sight of reflection of the mirror makes with a ground angle, blah, blah, blah. That's just like the Charlie Brown wah, wah, wah to me. I don't know what that means, so I'm just going to ignore it. If the building is 300 feet from the mirror, oh, so we remember the mirror was here. So which number is 300 feet from the mirror?
3.
Mm-hmm. And then what is the height of the building? So even if I'm not sure about the 300, I know height is this, right? So that is my x. What proportion can I solve here? I've got a small triangle and a big triangle. So I know I need a proportion.
5.5 over 14. And I did my height with an 8, so that 8 is 1,000.
Awesome. And I love that you use a different variable. That's 100% correct. So we've got the height of the triangle with the height of the triangle. The 5.5 and the x go together. Those are both heights. And then the 14 and the 300, those go together. And then we just cross multiply. So 14x equals whatever 300 times 5.5 is. 1,650. I love it. And then we divide by 14 and we get what? Say it again. We'll just go with that. Oh, and it said round to the nearest whole number. So what would I type in? Absolutely. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the hardest problems. We are going to end class because it is 8:45. Please, 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 please invest in yourself and do these problems for homework, okay? Even if you don't know how to do some of them, submit it in whatever state of doneness it is tomorrow morning. And then we'll do a second attempt to recover some points and then roll right into the test second half of class tomorrow, okay? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, that's why I give that second attempt. The unit test is tomorrow. We're going to start it tomorrow and you're going to have the weekend to finish it. And remember, there's no office hours today. I'm really sorry about that. I have doctor's appointments. So if you have questions, you can always come see me during office hours on Monday. Test is due like midnight Monday. Okay, so there's time after the office hours. Okay, see you guys.